My wife has been cheating on me with her manipulative boss. Hi, welcome to my channel. Today, we've got a story from r/infidelity where Op's wife has been cheating on Op with her manipulative boss. Before we start, if you have any personal stories of how you got out of a toxic relationship with your cheating wife or girlfriend that you want to share, feel free to email them to me. Let's get started. Original story. I have been with my wife for 7 years. At first, it was great. She was my soulmate and I was hers. We had similar interests in sports, entertainment, social issues, more on that later, holiday destinations, etc. We were happy for years. However, things started to change when my wife was becoming more distant, even slightly colder. Now let me give you some insight. We have been together for 7 years. For 5 years it was, as I said, happy. I felt I was her world as she was mine. We went out with friends and I see her always smiling at me when we talked to our friends. She would take care of me when I was sick, as I did with her. She would back me whenever needed. She was my rock. My best friend. My one and only. We would do many things together like hiking, camping, wildlife resorts, same interests, go to watch football. We had a passion for each other. I never wanted her to change. When I first met her she was beautiful. Brunette curly hair, stunning smile and so nice. She always implied the same with me. She made me feel special. Not once did I feel inadequate or insecure about myself, more on that later. As I said, for over 5 years it was great. But things started to change when her new supervisor started at her work. I'm calling him Marjus. Now at first she would come home and talk about Marjus. She would say that he's funny and makes people feel good. Of course, I was slightly taken aback at first because she would usually come home and ask about my day and hers. But she immediately talked about Marjus straight away. However, at the time I brushed it off as someone new at her work after she's seen the same faces for years. So when Marjus showed up it was refreshing. Weeks pass and my wife seems to be more distant and secretive. She would go out to work nights, which didn't bother me as she went on plenty before. However, we were meant to go out to a mutual friend's house for drinks. He is in a bad way as he has been diagnosed with severe disease. My wife, as I said, is a rock usually. Empathetic and supportive. So when we found out about our friend, Daniel, we didn't hesitate to go over and show our support. The night came to go over and my wife was running late from a work night out. I called her a few times and no answer. I texted her, no answer. After waiting I decided to go to Daniel's myself. Daniel and I talked about how he's adapting and coping. During that time I felt for Daniel. Such a nice guy to have this is cruel. Afterward, I got home and I'm seething. My wife is still not home. No missed calls or texts. Seriously? I couldn't believe it. I was getting worried if she's been in an accident, so I called her work colleague, Jane. I get on with Jane and asked her if my wife, Kelly, is out with her. Jane said that she was, but Jane went home and it was just her and Marjus left out. I was angry. So angry. We have known Daniel for years and she would skip meeting our friend over a guy she just met. I kept telling myself there's an explanation for this. I waited until she got home. Eventually, she arrived home and saw me in the living room looking at her. What's wrong? Everything okay? I looked at her in amusement and said Daniel. She looked mortified. I'm sorry, I forgot. I was out with work friends and lost track of time. She looked sincere. She and Daniel are good friends, so maybe she did forget. I did ask her a question. Who is out with you? She replied, usual Jane, Sophie, etc. I replied, not Marjus? Oh yes, he was there. I pressed on, remembering what Jane said, did everyone stay out until the end? She replied, yes, it was a good night. The next day I'm angry. I don't say anything to my wife, but she has never lied to me before. She has never let anyone down before. I couldn't grasp that she would bail on our sick friend for a guy she just met. The next few days my wife was becoming more distant. She would come home later and not be affectionate towards me. I still put this down to workload maybe. But when she got home she would be on her phone constantly. I asked her, who is it that you're always texting? Just a friend from work, she said. I asked her if it's Marjus. No, she said, but what's the problem if it is? I never seen my wife get defensive like this, but I was going, to be honest. I replied, because you never shut up about him. He's been working with you for under a month and you seem to idolize him. Your face sparkles when you talked about him. So much so you forgot about Daniel. I could tell I hit the spot. She replied, no, I do not idolize Marjus. He's nice but just a friend. And I apologized to Daniel already. This wasn't enough. I waited until she was asleep and checked her phone. And surprise, it was full of sext messages between them. I took photos of the conversation for later. A week has passed and it's continuing. The late nights. The lack of affection. I speak to a friend about my concerns and he said maybe I'm being paranoid. Try to do something new, like make her a surprise dinner. I like that idea. So I texted my wife and asked if she's busy after work. She replied, no, I'm free. It seemed to be a nice text conversation. So I made dinner. Got a nice bottle of wine and flowers. She got home and looked sad at me. She said she's sorry but a friend from work is organizing a surprise birthday party for a colleague. And that night is the only night they have. I shook my head in frustration and anger. She left right after and drove off. This was it. After months of suspicion, I needed proof. I know you must read this and say to yourselves, friend, can you not see the signs? I could, but I was hoping. Hoping that I'm wrong. Hoping that it was a bad dream. The truth is I was scared to find out. But I needed proof. So, I wasn't proud of it. I put a tracker in her car. I pretended to be at work late so she didn't see me when she got home. She did arrive home, I watched from a distance, and she set off again in her car. I followed her as she went further out of town. She eventually pulled into a car park that was secluded in the corner. She was waiting until another pulled up next to her. It was him, Marjus. She got out and got into his car. It was obvious what they were doing. I recorded her getting into his car for evidence against her. For the next few days, she acted like everything was fine. I mean, I know that she doesn't realize I know, but she was acting like normal. Smiling to me, even holding my hand at breakfast. She left to go to work. I had a day off and decided to snoop on the laptop to see anything suspicious. There was nothing. But when I was looking through her drawers, I know, not my proudest moment, I see an iPad under the bottom drawer. It wasn't mine, so I assumed my wife bought it. Luckily for me, it didn't need a password. I don't know if she forgot to lock it, but I got lucky. I got in and looked. Now, this is where the damage hurt. I looked in the iPad and checked to see text conversation, but nothing. However, what I was about to see I will never forget. There was a folder of pictures of my wife naked, making sexual positions for him. There were so many. But there was more. There were videos. I know I shouldn't have looked at them, but I did. The videos were graphic. Marjus sleeping with my wife and my wife enjoying it. But that is not all. My wife was seen sleeping with another woman and another man, with Marjus there. But the other man was someone who made me sick. He is a bigot. He had vile tattoos of certain groups who were vile. Like I said, a vile human being. It seemed that Marjus agreed with his views, which were fitting. I couldn't believe it. My wife was with a man who held bigoted views. This was a woman who detested any form of bigotry, as did I. So why would she do this? What did she see in him? It was seeing her being fully complicit that got to me. During our marriage, we always talked about fantasies but never acted on them. As a man, it was a threesome, etc., but my wife said she would never do it. Never sleep with another woman or do anything that made her feel uncomfortable. I accepted that without a second thought. It didn't bother me that she didn't want to do it. I loved her. So to see her doing things that she never did with me hurt. Hurt bad. I watched all the videos. I know I'm stupid. I copied the videos and pictures to my laptop for evidence of infidelity. Because that's all that matters. I want her gone. I just don't know why she did it. I don't know why she refused me the fantasy route, if you will. What made him so special? Why was she into a man that I thought she despised because of what he represented? Anyway, I spoke to Daniel about everything. He is a great man and friend. He couldn't believe I was talking about my wife. He was disgusted with her but noticed her change as well. I told him that I want to divorce her. He understood. He said I have enough to back me. He told me that confronting her and him is pointless because she has already made up her mind. He said that I need a fresh start and to find someone who is themselves and not a mirage of a woman I married. Like myself, Daniel hates vile racists and shook his head that my wife did this. Daniel has known my wife a lot longer than me. After speaking to Daniel, it made me feel like I was in control. For months I felt that she was in control. I was afraid to find out the truth. I didn't confront her more sternly when I was suspicious because I was afraid of the outcome. At the time I didn't know if I wanted to leave her or make it work. But after the videos, pictures, and texts, I damn well know what I must do. I went to the lawyer to file for a divorce. I had enough. My wife was still acting normal. Still on the phone constantly. Still going out late, I assume with him. I didn't care. I had to wait 3 weeks for the papers to come through. I got them. I decided to move out. Luckily we rented and our lease was running out in 3 months. I was prepared to pay until then. Anyway, I wanted to move out. So the day came. She went to work. I made up that I had to go in later to cover for being short-staffed. She shrugged and said okay. No goodbye hug or kiss. Still, that hasn't happened for months, so I was used to it. She left. I packed up my essentials and put the divorce papers on the kitchen table along with my wedding ring. That was it. I stayed with my friend from university, Adam, who lived in another city. I was grateful, but more grateful that it was far from her, the city, our same social circle. I wanted nothing to do with any of it. I told my parents about what happened and they were shocked but fully understood. I didn't tell them every little detail. There was no need. All I can think of at the moment is that I'm free. My wife would, I assume, agree, as it was clear that Marju's is the one she wants. I hope that we get a quick divorce. I do. Later that night my phone was blowing up with calls and texts. It was my wife. I was surprised because I honestly thought that this was what she wanted as well. But it seems that I couldn't be more wrong. I didn't speak to my wife. I had no interest in it. I read her messages and all of them consisted of "I'm sorry, I love you, please can we talk?" etc. etc. This lasted for hours. I blocked her number and deleted all my social media accounts. I spoke to my lawyer about my wife signing the divorce, but she hasn't signed. She did contact me through email. I wanted to have some way of communication because I still want the divorce. She sent me an email again saying sorry several times and that we needed to talk. I replied no, all I want is the divorce. She replied that she doesn't want one. I am the man she only loves and Marju's meant nothing. It's funny because I never mentioned to her why I left, but she knows why. Her guilty conscience and seeing her plead for forgiveness were satisfying. I spoke to Adam and he said I could stay as long as I wanted. I am thankful for him. But he did say that I would have to meet her eventually. He said that I left without having answers and no matter how hard you try, eventually you will need to hear them. Inside I was disagreeing with Adam. Why should I talk to her? Why? She gave little regard to my feelings for months. She didn't care about me. She cares about her sick friend Daniel. She didn't care. So why would I talk to her? I know that deep down I'm being stubborn. But also angry that my wife is trying to reconcile. I honestly thought she would have signed and moved on with him. This has me mixed up. And even more, mixed up now is that my wife wants to meet. I have an excellent therapist. I talked about the affair. The pictures. The videos. All of it. I mentioned that my wife wants to meet up before she signs. My therapist was blunt. She said that when I left without telling her why, deep down you wanted her to plead and her to worry. You keep telling yourself she wouldn't care, but deep down, you want her to care. You want her to feel pain like she did to you. However, meeting her would take some of your control. She was right. She added, if you decide to meet in person you must ask the difficult questions even if you don't like the answer. Because you do have questions and you are not moving on at all. You are running away because you are scared that the last 7 years were a lie. Like I said, blunt. That was 2 days ago. My wife wants to meet and is inclined that she won't sign without meeting first. I speak to my parents and close friends about it. My dad said that you could force the issue of her signing, but that could take months. But if she's willing, no guarantee, to sign after you talk, then it's worth it. Adam agreed. I decided to meet my wife. Although to say I'm nervous is an understatement. How should I approach this? What should I ask her? Should I be open or guarded? Any help and advice would be grateful. I will update after. Before we take a look at some replies by other Redditors, take a moment to like the video to show your support to the channel. Don't forget to leave your own opinion on the story in the comments down below. Now let's look at some comments. Thrilla de Gorilla wrote, well, I'm a big fan of face-to-face confrontations. With that in mind, tell her flat out that a condition of meeting her is her signing the papers. If she says no, then don't meet. And ghost her and take the long road to divorce without having to see her ever again. If she says yes, then meet her, but allow her the floor to speak. Keep your questions/statements to a minimum. And control your emotions to the point where you display zero emotion. Good or bad. If you become emotional, excuse yourself and go collect yourself and get back on mission. Your main mission is to get the paper signed. Remember, you have all the answers you need already. The meeting is for her, not you. She wants forgiveness, abdication, and to walk away with less shame and guilt. She's looking to get out of being held accountable. Yes, that knowledge to trade for her signature. Now, there's still a chance she won't sign. If she seems reluctant to sign, Offer to work on the relationship after the divorce. Make her believe she's still got a chance with you. Yes, it's a lie. But fuck her. You want that signature, so lie to get it if need be. After you have her signature, make sure you expose the affair at her workplace. Call HR directly. Listen, bro. She's no longer an ally, wife, friend, or soulmate. She's an adversary in a legal matter, nothing more, nothing less. Pior wrote. I would meet in a public place or better yet, lawyer's office and record conversation, but not at home unless you bring a witness. Blade_982 wrote. I disagree with everyone telling you to meet her. There is no reason to meet. She won't be honest with you. She won't answer your questions truthfully. There is nothing to be gained. She made a mockery of your vows and you're divorcing her. What is there to discuss? Lone Wolf 369963 wrote. Sorry to hear what you are going through, and I must say that you are handling the situation in the best possible manner. If you wish to meet her, then please do. However, I'll recommend it done in your lawyer's office with your lawyer present, or you can do it in front of your therapist as well, if the therapist agrees, and in case if she doesn't want to be in either of these places, then take someone along with you. But don't meet her alone. Also, record the entire conversation from your safety point of view and as additional proof as well. With her sob story, you may have second doubts about the divorce, but if you have those doubts, please remember that 1. She cheated on you multiple times. 2. She neglected you. 3. She didn't show any emotion or affection to you while doing way more things multiple times. She may even try blame shifting on you, but remember, nothing you have done can justify cheating, or she may even outblame on her AP stating that he made her this. In this scenario, remember, she could have talked to you about this. Good luck. Mr. Big Bull 01 wrote. Hi, I'm sorry this is happening to you. First of all, bring a recording device, and tell your wife you are going to record the conversation. It is best you first start talking. Start with, I do not know why you think I should give you another chance. Mind you, I saw the pictures of you, I saw the video with Marjus and another woman and another guy. I saw it all. So again, why do you even think I would consider giving you a second chance? One more question, what did you think would happen if I found out? And one more thing, do not begin with it was as a mistake. It was most certainly not a mistake. You made a decision, you made multiple decisions, that Marjus was more important than me or our marriage. And then listen to what she has to say. I think this will throw her off because I think she doesn't know you saw the pictures in the video. Time, or even nothing happened, I just got carried away. If so, then you telling them you saw the pictures and video will kill that excuse, and could be that all of a sudden, she has nothing to say anymore. Whatever she says, do not raise your voice. Stay calm at all times. Do not touch her. Maybe even just listen and do not start a discussion or fight. Tell her you to hear her out, and will reply via email because you want to replay her story over and over to give your view of what she said. Take care. Mr. Big Bull. Chica Foxy wrote. If it were me, I would not meet. What's done is done, and she knows what she did. Absolutely, without question, she knows why you left. You need to decide for yourself if you want any details more than you already have. But why would it matter why? None of this was your fault. If you were doing anything wrong that was causing her turmoil of any sort, she could have brought up to you and attempted to work things out to the best of both your abilities, but she chose not to. She chose to be selfish and find a path all her own to make herself feel good. She ran away, not you. Just because she was, sometimes, physically there, she was already gone mentally and emotionally. She left first. As for getting her to sign papers, you're not going to get her to do anything she doesn't want to do. If you consent to meeting with her or even talking with her, that's going to give her a tidal wave of feel-good emotions because she once again has had control over you. It's a foot in the door, it's a crack in your wall, it's a peek behind your barricade. I say you got out safe and sound, at least as much can be expected, don't look back. You owe her nothing. What happens if she doesn't sign? It will take longer to happen? So be it, throw it in a box, and be done with it knowing that it'll eventually sort itself out. She's not hurting, she's only seething. She lost control of you and she'll use all her tactics to reel you back in, no matter how long that takes, just like fishing, and you feel a bite and you get excited. The fish is there and you know it. Just be patient. Be patient. Be patient, because every little nibble could be the big bite that hooks the fish, and you'll reel that sucker in just carefully enough not to break the line until you get it with your net, and bingo. You got that fish hook, line and sinker. You got out, stay out. Blacklist. Not even third-party contact, except the lawyer stuff, Throw the emergency brake on anyone wanting to fill you in on her doings, bad or good, have none of it. Godspeed up. Hot Pink Hiratsu wrote. After being cheated on and following a couple of infidelity websites, there are several things that stand out. Your wife does not love you no matter what she says. When wives cheat just for sex and kicks, they're very hard to catch usually. That's because they don't act that much differently. They may even get more affectionate and want even more sex. They don't start ignoring you and treating you like yesterday's news. But, when they fall in love, they start putting you in their rearview mirror. They ignore you, they're thoughtless of your feelings, they treat you like trash, start arguments, they're critical, etc. Oddly, she's now acting as she wants you. She doesn't. She can't handle being dumped by someone better than her. She knows what she's been doing, and the people she's been doing it with are trash with no future. Tell her parents exactly what she's done and her friends. Also, tell HR where they work. This is why people tell betrayed spouses why they shouldn't do the pick-me dance, which never works. Shock and awe and standing up for yourself do. Lastly, get an STD test and see your MD for temporary help if you need to. Work out like crazy. Good luck. Mr. Niz wrote. Bring a witness. Meet in a public place. Record everything. You have absolutely no reason to trust her. Listen to your therapist. She will use every trick, every feminine charm she has left, to seduce you back into the fold. She wants to manipulate you, badly. Why? Do you think this is remorse? It isn't. It's about saving face. People think of her in a certain way. She likes being admired. If the truth gets out, people will be disgusted with her. Do not fall for that. Don't let her ruin your life going forward. Right now, you have a future. You finally see her for whom she really, honestly is. This is her, my friend. This is her that was under the outward image. Yes, she is capable of doing this to you, she just did. When she's weeping at your meeting, and yes, she will bawl her eyes out, remember the image of her in the threesome with the guy covered in racist tattoos. Remember that she's not your sweet wife. That image died when she decided to permit herself to sleep with a supervisor a month after meeting him. That's your wife. She's not that ideal woman anymore. She never was. I strongly advocate going to a doctor and getting tested for sexually transmitted diseases. A woman who could betray her husband with strangers isn't likely to be safe with her sexual health. Make this a priority. Never sleep with her again. Those days are done. Unless you like consorting with a petri dish. I'm so sorry this happened to you, but you seem like you have a good head on your shoulders and can anticipate her attempts at manipulation. Stay strong, make good decisions, and keep us updated, please. What do you think about all of this? Do you think Op's doing the right thing by meeting with his wife? Also, do you think Op handled this situation right? Lastly, do you think Op will ever be able to heal from his wife's infidelity? Let us know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. Hit the notification bell to make sure you never miss an upload.